Owning a car costs over $1,000 per month on average in the US. This is made up of financing, fuel, insurance, maintenance, and depreciation. The median annual gross salary is $59,428, which works out at about $4,000 a month after tax. This means the average person spends 25% of their take-home pay on their car. There are varying opinions on how much you should spend on your car, but the general consensus is between 10 and 15% of your income. So that leads us to wonder, is the average person spending too much money on their car? Let's have a look at the most popular rules to follow when buying a car, so you can understand how much you really should be spending. Up first, we have the 35% rule. This rule states that the most you should spend on a car is 35% of your gross income. This rule doesn't take into account lease payments, finance rates, or running costs of the car. This is just the total value of the car itself. Let's look at 3 example incomes of $40,000, $60,000, and $120,000. Using the 35% rule, here's the maximum you should spend on a car for each of these cases. Is it more or less than you had expected? Let me know in the comments. Although 35% is a good general guideline, I personally believe people should spend less than this, maybe closer to 20 or 25%. This would allow you to instead save more money and use this to invest and grow, while still having a car to get you from point A to point B. Moving on to our next rule, which focuses more on financing a car, is the 23-8 rule. The first part recommends you make a 20% down payment on the car. This down payment ensures you're in a financially responsible position to afford the car. It also helps you gain more equity in the car quickly and reduces the overall length of the loan, which means you'll have it paid off quicker. The 3 refers to having a maximum loan length of 3 years on the car or 36 months, which is much less than the average loan term of 65 months. The 8 in this rule means your monthly car payment should not exceed 8% of your gross monthly income. I'll include a link in the description to an online 23-8 rule calculator for you to get the figures for your exact financial situation. If you're enjoying the video so far, please hit that subscribe button so you don't miss future videos. Looking at the example salaries from earlier, we can see how much you can allocate towards your car payments in terms of down payment and monthly car payment. This should be very much attainable for most people, as these figures are quite generous. However, for those who are maybe more into their cars and like having a nicer car, maybe you could focus instead on our next rule, the 24-10 rule. This rule is similar to the 23-8 rule, but a bit more relaxed. You have the same 20% down payment. However, the 3-year loan increases to 4 years, and the 8% monthly payment increases to 10%. Although these are just subtle differences, they can add up drastically over your entire life if you have multiple cars. Take a look at how the car payments change for our 3 sample salaries. This gives you a bit more flexibility, but of course, choosing which rule to follow is a personal decision, and there is no one right answer. The next rule you could consider is buy in cash. Simply put, the car you should buy is the car you can afford fully in cash. I think this rule can be easily visualized by this diagram. Basically, a flashy car will cost much more initially and will bring you lots of happiness. But as time goes on, the thrill wears off, and flashy cars generally give more mechanical trouble and are much more costly to fix. So it will end up becoming a burden compared to just owning a reliable mid-range car. Buying a car in cash saves you the headache of loans, financing, interest rates, monthly payments, and late payment fees. We've now covered buying a car in cash as well as through financing. So the next logical question is, should you buy or lease a car? Leasing a car involves paying monthly payments towards a car without ever gaining any equity in the car, so you will never actually own the car. There are both pros and cons to leasing a car. Firstly, you'll generally get a new car every 3 or 4 years, so you can just hand back your car for the newer model. Since you're not gaining equity in the car, there is usually no down payment, and monthly payments are much less. Leased cars also have warranty, so if they have any mechanical problem, you just hand it back and get it fixed at no extra cost. The drawbacks to leasing are you never gain equity in the car, so you'll be stuck paying monthly payments indefinitely. There can be mileage limits, which you get fined for exceeding. Although leasing cars has its place in the market, I think most people should focus on either buying a car in cash or through financing. One more thing to consider when buying a car is depreciation. What I mean here is do some research on the exact brand and model of car you're buying to determine how it has depreciated in the past. Certain car brands depreciate much quicker than others. Here is the typical depreciation graph of a car over 20 years. As you can see, it drops much quicker at the start and tends to ease off as the car gets older. This might be a reason to buy a slightly older car, since a new car will depreciate about 10% the second you drive it out of the dealership, and it only goes down further from there. If you'd like to hear more about the true cost of car ownership, check out this video on why your car is the #1 wealth killer.